What's up, everyone? Today is March 31st, 2023. My name is Derek, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about a big news story that hit late last night, but for all intents and purposes, is dominating the media today, March 31st. In this video, we'll explain how the news is essentially a scripted, staged event. This news in particular. What we'll do in this video is decode the three main characters of this story. We begin with Donald Trump, obviously, who was indicted today. We'll look at Stormy Daniels, who is the woman that he allegedly had an affair with back in 2006. And we'll also look at Michael Cohen, who used to be Donald Trump's lawyer and is the man accused of improperly paying Stormy Daniels to stay quiet. Additionally, I'll also explain how this is connected to former legal problems set forth by the U.S. government towards Donald Trump. Back in 2019 and 2021, Donald Trump was impeached, and we will look at both of those dates and how they connect to today's date. If you happen to be new to this channel, I focus on the language of Gematria, which is an occulted form of numerology connected to the alphabet. The cipher on your screen is the most simple, called ordinal, and you'll see that the words simple, English, and gematria all sum to 74, a highly significant number in this method. These ciphers then branch off into what we call the base 4 methods. The reverse order simply flips the alphabet backwards so that Z is assigned 1, Y is 2, all the way through A is 26. The reduction methods take these ordinal ciphers and drop every double-digit number to a single digit prior to adding it to the equation. When you observe these methods and compare it to the birthdays and ages of characters in these stories, you find some pretty fascinating alignments, and we'll go ahead and explore those right now. So once again, although the paperwork was filed yesterday, this didn't hit the news until late at night. So once again, we'll be focusing on March 31st, today's date. Now, the whole Stormy Daniels incident first hit the media in the year 2018 with this Washington Post article that was originally published on January 12th of 2018. A few months later, Time magazine published an issue referencing the scandal, where Donald Trump was shown in turbulent waters at the Oval Office with the lone word Stormy shown on the issue. And in the very top right, it's probably too small to see, but this issue was dated April 23rd of 2018, and this is significant as well. We begin with the Gematria of Time, the world-famous magazine that really brought this to light in 2018. Using the alphabetic order, the word time sums to 47, which is the reverse of 74, the number I showed earlier. The number 47 is significant to time here on the planet Earth. Consider how the sun travels 47 degrees between the two tropics, Cancer and Capricorn. In the reduction, or Pythagorean form of Gematria, the phrase hush money sums to 47. In multiple ciphers, the name Trump sums to 47. Here we see it in the reverse alphabetic order, and also in Latin Gematria. This cipher, also called Agrippa's Key in Old Masonic texts, from author Cornelius Agrippa. This used to be called Jewish on the old site, but I consider it to be the most significant of all the large methods outside of the base 4. And in that cipher, Trump also equals 470. On today's date, March 31st, Donald Trump is exactly 4,007 weeks old. He's the first former president to ever be indicted. Notice how in standard reduction, the word president equals 47. In reverse, White House equals 47, the home of the president. This is a number important to government, which also equals 47. Both the Republican and Democrat parties each have values of 47. Stormy Daniels' real name is Stephanie, and it's worth noting that the name Stephanie also sums to 47 in reverse reduction. Now, there's another number that's significant to Stormy Daniels' name. Notice how the name Stormy sums to 750 in Latin. In the reverse Sumerian cipher, where the alphabetic order is multiplied by 6, the first perfect number, the name Daniels equals 750. In another important method called single reduction, which is similar to the reduction method, however, the letter S is worth 10 instead of 1. Because S is normally the 19th letter, the digits 1 plus 9 sum to 10. It's only reduced once. And here, the name Stormy Daniels equals 75. So her first, last, and first plus last names all have this 75 gematria. This brings us to Trump's lawyer, Michael Dean Cohen, whose name in reduction sums to 75. On the date of today's news, measuring to Donald Trump's next birthday, which falls on June 14th, we find that Trump is currently 75 days before his next birthday. But what about Michael Cohen? Michael Cohen was born on August 25th. Measuring from today's date to Michael Cohen's next birthday is 148 days. In reverse, the word indicted equals 148. This matches the ordinal sum of Donald J. Trump, which also sums to 148. Using the S exception of gematria, which we just reviewed, Stormy Daniels' full name, Stephanie Gregory Clifford, also sums to 148. These alignments typically don't occur in real life when it comes to these types of events. So now let's talk about today's date, March 31st, when most people woke up to learn about this news. This is an important date, the 31st of March. Now consider first how most of the world writes this date. Most parts of the world will use 31/3 to denote today's date. And here we have the number 313, 313. When the Time magazine issue, that Stormy issue from Donald Trump, was published, that was 313 days after Donald Trump's birthday. And before I get any further, how wild is it today that all over the United States we're seeing some of the biggest storms of the spring so far? In fact, a tornado struck Little Rock today, and Little Rock was, of course, home to former Governor Clinton, who would go on to become another president. But let's get back to this 313. So the Stormy issue of Time magazine released 313 days after Trump's birthday. Like today's date, 31/3. Well, the number 313 is a prime number, divisible only by 1 and itself, and prime numbers are very significant to the study of numerology. The first time we learned about this scandal, it was published in the Washington Post. And notice how Washington Post equals 65. Again, 313. The 65th prime number. All of these tools available at my website, gematrinator.com, which is linked down below. That Washington Post article was published a span of 65 days before Stormy Daniels' next birthday. And then, a few months later, when Time magazine published their Stormy cover, it was on a date with 65 numerology. In Pythagorean gematria, hush money scandal sums to 65. Notice the alphabetic order, where the phrase hush money scandal has a value of 182. In Latin gematria, the man responsible for this scandal, along with Trump, Michael Cohen, has this value of 182 just as well. In Latin gematria, hush money scandal equals 990. Now, the number 990 is very fascinating in numerology, actually. Hush money scandal, 990. Well, 990 is directly related to the number 44. If you add every number 1 through 44, you get a sum of 990. And in gematria, this is certainly no mistake. The number 44, when spelled out, even equals 99. Stormy Daniels just turned 44 years old earlier this month, 2 weeks ago. And check out how the name Daniels sums to 44. A neat little alignment there, but there's even more with this phrase. Hush money scandal, once again. So earlier we looked at the Latin cipher of gematria. Next to that, you'll also see something called English Standard. This cipher uses the current 26-letter alphabetic order, and the numeric structure mirrors the ancient Hebrew and Greek gematria charts. 1 through 9, 10 through 90, 100 through 800. In this cipher, hush money scandal equals 1460. Now, this number stands out, connected to Donald Trump, because his birthday is the 14th of June, or 14/6. He was even born in the year 1946, which also has the 146 in it. Stormy Daniels' real name, Stephanie, also equals 146. So how ideal for this man to be embroiled in a hush money scandal. There's a couple more things worth noting as well. The word indictment is what we call a supermatch with the name Donald Trump, as these sync up in 3 of 4 base ciphers in gematria. Notice the name Michael Cohen also equals 60. For the record, the name Michael Cohen also sums to 57. And this matches the reduction sum of Stormy Daniels, which equals 57. Today's date, 3 plus 31 plus 23, sums to 57. And when we talk about 57 on this channel, we are typically talking about the moon, as the numerology of the moon is also relevant to this story. Notice how the word moon equals 57 in ordinal. Earlier I mentioned how the sun has a 47-degree range of declination between the tropics, like the word time. Well, the word moon has a 57-degree range of declination, and the word moon equals 57. So how does this tie into today's story? When you look at the geometry of the moon and how it connects to the Earth, we find that the moon is 0.272 repeating the size of the Earth in diameter. 0.272. And check this out. Not only was Michael Cohen born 20 years and 72 days after Donald Trump, but today is also exactly 272 weeks after the Washington Post first broke this scandal. And when you look at Michael Cohen's age today, you get some similar digits. I'm not going to call this a match because there's an extra 6 in there, but 2, 7, and 2. But his age has something else significant coded into it. When you look at his lunar age, we find that Michael Cohen, as of today, is exactly 700 lunations old. This measures from new moon to new moon, so it's a little bit shorter than 1 month. And in standard gematria, the name Trump equals 700. All right, a couple more things I wanted to talk about. I mentioned how the impeachments are also tied into this story as well, with the first impeachment having occurred back in 2019. And as it turns out, I may have actually deleted that from the post, oddly enough, but let's take a look, because the first impeachment was on 12/18 of 2019. If you look in the description below, I have my video on that event linked. But what's important to understand about that is that impeachment was 3 years and 103 days before today's date. And once again, today's date is 3/13. So that's in the post. I guess I forgot to save it, but that's one more measurement to sync up with these 3/13s. Before that, we talked at length about the numbers 47. Now, the 47th prime number is 211. Here you see it. 211, the 47th prime number. If you measure from Trump's second impeachment, which was on January 13th of 2021, to today's date, you get a span of exactly 2 years and 11 weeks, tying into the 47s from before. Also, if you include the end date, this is 808 days. And speaking of legal problems with Trump, you may remember last year that his Mar-a-Lago residence was raided. And that occurred on August 8th, the date written 8/8. The name Trump in the alphabetic order equals 88. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Whether you're watching live or archived, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff that creators ask you to do. But yeah, that'll do it for this one. We'll talk to you next time. Peace, love, God bless. Adios.